the topic of work-life balance and what exactly that is, and if it even exists in today's world. And that is a very big topic, I feel, in the professional world these days. So, can we jump in and define what work-life balance is in today's world?
Absolutely, Josh. I think that's a great question to start with when we talk about work-life balance. So I would say it involves managing your professional responsibilities and your personal commitments. That's the idea with which we all have been in this entire corporate and business world. We have this idea of achieving a healthy equilibrium, I would say, between work and personal life, where we feel that if we can balance them well, it will minimize burnout, it will minimize our stress, and it will, of course, promote our better well being. But if I look at work from my perspective and what I teach to these executives, I would say work life balance means being able to actually give my best at work every day while I have that space to recharge, while I have that space to take care of my personal responsibilities. And all of us have our own personal responsibilities. The definition can vary. So I personally believe that in today's world, I would say less about those strict hours and more about managing your priorities, managing your energy. And it shouldn't be something like you're counting the hours. Oh, okay, 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours at work, and now the next 7 hours is at home. You cannot be counting those hours. You just have to be present where you are. If you are watching a movie with your family,
Hmm.
watch the movie with your family. I have seen people in the theaters, phone rings, or they will be chatting at work. They will excuse themselves from the movie, from the family, go out, take the call, come back. Then consistently they are thinking about work while the movie is on. That is not work-life balance. What I look into and what I teach executives is when I'm with my family, I unplug. I pour into that at that moment. That's balance. When I'm at my work, I'm not constantly thinking about home or the kids or anyone. So I think you have to be fully present, just where you are. To me, that's what it is. Work-life integration, I would say.
Because then you're always playing a catch-up game too. If you're at work for 8.5
Yeah,
hours and you lose that half hour at home, do you take it out of your sleeping time? It becomes very messy. And like you said, it's undue stress that in a world that's already so stressful, all we're doing is adding on to ourselves. Yeah.
true.
Now, what you said too was very interesting. This work-life integration as opposed to work-life balance seems like it's a very personal thing because I feel like not only do we put the stress on ourselves comparing ourselves to the allotted time we give ourselves, but we also compare ourselves to others and we compare our work life balance to their work life balance. But thinking of it as integration and presence and being aware of what we need to do, both personally and professionally, this seems like a very personal approach as opposed to a generic approach like we treat it today.
Absolutely.
How should people go about striving to get that integration? I know you mentioned a couple examples, but what are some other approaches people can take to help better integrate their work life and their personal life to make sure that they are giving the proper attention to both?
I think one of the biggest things we should understand, Josh, is that we cannot separate work and personal life. And I think that is something we all are striving to achieve. This
Mhm.
is work, this is personal life. You are one person who's handling both. So you cannot make them as opposing factors. They're not opposing forces. You have to make sure that you make a conscious choice of how you are being present. In fact, taking it a little further, I teach at a lot of MBA universities, and I am noticing the Gen Z. So, whenever they talk about work life balance, let me tell you, they are already stressed about it because we've been telling them so much about work life balance. They've been hearing from everywhere. The Gen Z is already getting stressed out with this concept. So, I think somewhere with this generation entering now, we need to reframe what we mean by this work life. Like I told you, it's more of a work life integration. People felt it has to be a 50-50, proper split. But that's not how things work. What we need today is how are we managing our energy? Do we have the ability to bring our full self to work? Do we have the ability to be present where we are? So I don't think in any way Work-life balance should be something where you stick to those old rule books. You have to begin to evolve it. You have to align it with your purpose. You have to align it with your energy, your environment. Go to a place like London, like I've been working in different parts of the world through my coaching. There's a very different life back there. At 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, they would shut work, they would go for a happy hour beer or something. So everybody has a different definition. You have to see what works in your environment rather than making it one general rule everywhere.
Going back to what we said before, it's tough to push your view of work-life balance on others because similar, I work in a global environment, and in Germany they have laws around how long that they can work. And so it's
Absolutely.
we need to make sure we don't create assumptions on others as well to say they're not working as much or they're not doing as much as I am because of their environment, what they're required to stick to. Handle the generational differences. I'm glad you brought up Gen Z. And one thing that I have seen over the years is when you have this integration of the different generations within a workplace, you start seeing those assumptions. You start seeing those times where the much older folks who live to work and want to spend all their time at work, and when they're outside of work, they spend all their time thinking about work and answering phone calls, and it's like they wear that as a badge of pride. They see these newer generations who seem to value more of a balance, and they make these assumptions of this person's not working as hard. They're not answering my calls when they're with their family, and they start thinking negatively about these people. How do you handle those generational differences in a workplace with this topic?
I'm so glad you brought out this question. I was recently speaking at a college about this. Gen Z is a great generation, I would say, which is entering the workforce. Honestly, I work with a lot of Gen Zs. It's a great generation entering our workforce today. Now, yes, they do come with their own set of rules and how they have grown. Again, like I said, it's the environment in which they have grown. Now, if we don't adapt and we don't make our companies culturally fit to attract and retain this generation, we're going to be losing a lot of potential.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, what this generation looks like is, like you said, after 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever is the time, they actually put that whole, I'm with my family. And
Right.
best part is, Josh, if you've noticed it, they are upfront in saying it.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, oh, sorry, the phone was shut. There was no network. They're very transparent, very truthful.
Mhm.
I'm with my family. I'm with my mom. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. My mom needs me currently. I love that.
Yeah.
So honest and open. Now, what are we supposed to do as leaders? We are supposed to support that. We are supposed to help them understand. We have to handhold this generation. As much as this generation is great because it is adaptable to technology, it's in
Mhm.
the AI generation, they have loads of information and they are techie smart
Right.
more than any of us can be. And the world is going towards technology shift, which means we need more of these generations and the upcoming alpha beta generations to handle. If we are not able to handle the Gen Z, what are we going to handle the alpha and the beta generation?
Right.
Absolutely, it's not going to be possible. Allow them to set the culture. Allow them to bring in the new culture in the company. Start learning from them and start teaching them. Let it be a good blend. And automatically, we will see the work life balance is really getting integrated in everybody's life. So I think that's where we need to make that shift when it comes to the new generation taking over now.
That do you bring the other generations along for the ride? Because I see you tend to sometimes have different groups of people in a workplace. You've got the leaders who obviously need to manage the company, manage the people that are coming in, and they're the ones that you'd think would have to build some kind of learning plan for the older leaders that are in the business. But then you've got the executors, the people that always just have their nose to the ground, getting the work done, and they're the ones occasionally that'll say, this is the way we've always done it. I don't like change. And now you're not just changing the work process, but you're changing their peers and the people that are being brought into the system. How do you bring them along for the ride as well?
Yeah, otherwise you're going to lose potential talent. I will give you a very real life incident that I'm remembering now. So this is one of my clients, and this happened just, I think, not even a year ago. And he's been a rising star in a Fortune 500 company. And he was having a lot of these different generation people working with him as a team. And he wanted to set the culture for being unstoppable, that all of us should be unstoppable. first in, last out types. He was climbing the ladder very fast, always said yes to things, always delivered. He wanted that legacy, that everyone should follow this type of a legacy. Now, to the outside world, he had it all: the title, the corner office, the perks, everything. But I know from the coaching inside, he was unraveling completely.
Hmm.
Sleep became so optional for him. Family dinners turned into missed calls and everything. His health took a hit. He kept pushing, just thinking that, oh, just a little more, just a little more. I'll finally have more time, just a little more. And his teams never resonated with him at all. And I also used to always tell him that you need to really not just slow down, you need to know how to integrate everything and maximize your energy for productivity, not your time. But he wanted to set this legacy that everyone in my team should believe that work is to be going on. A time came when one of the Monday mornings, he was sitting in the boardroom and completely blanked out in the middle of a critical presentation. Not because he was not prepared, he's a person who's always over prepared, just because of sheer mental exhaustion.
Wow.
And that moment became like a wake up call for him. So he took step back, he built his boundaries and whatever. Today he's very successful and everything. All of that said and done. What I'm trying to bring to the point here is with your question. Every time we do this and we say, no, this is the right way, this is how we want the next generation to be, the next generation is seeing your mental exhaustion. They are seeing your frustration. They are seeing that you are just pushing yourself, but you're not okay with it, but you're doing it because you are used to it. You become comfortable with it. That's what you have grown up with. At the same time, they are then taking a step back. We don't want to do this. We don't
Right.
want to work with people like this. You can think whatever we want. We are not going to work like this. And because we, as their leaders, are not coming a midway, we are putting the pressure on them, which is causing the mental exhaustion in the new generation very early on in their career. So we have to be very careful of what we are passing to the next generation and what we are passing to the different generations. There are people who are senior to us in the companies, they have a different way of working. There
Mhm.
are people at our generation and the next generation. So we have to make sure that we know how we lead with empathy without chasing and without making others get mentally exhausted. That's what I would say.
Before we go, is there any last comment or reflection that you want to give to the listeners?
Sure. I think with whatever you have asked, you've asked some great questions around work life and success. So, in one line, I would just like to tell our listeners that life and work coexist. They cannot be competing with each other. You are the same person at work, you are the same person at your home. So, bring your true self wherever you go because success demands much more than your expertise and your degrees. It demands you as an individual. So, work on that.